Good morning, welcome to yoga. My name's Emily and I'm filming from the cycle room at Home Athletic. So I'm gonna scooch back a little bit. Hopefully you can see me. I think the light's actually better in here. Maybe I'll choose to film in here next time. So let's start out just at the top of your mat. We'll sit down in a little bit, but I just kind of want to wake up the body. So just let's open up our arms as far back as they go, kind of like wings here, and just look up. Just trying to squeeze those shoulder blades together and bring the shoulders back and down. And now release this, and you're going to interlace your hands. I'm going to bring my feet about hip width apart, and as I exhale, I'm going to kind of come down here. You're welcome to bend your knees here. All right, releasing the hands, I'm going to grab opposite elbow with opposite hand and just come into Ragdoll. I'm going to release my hands down and just kind of finger paint here. I'll step back a little bit so I'm more on my mat. And this kind of reminds me of like what it might be like to be a weeping willow in the wind. Releasing my hands down, I'm going to just alternate kind of pedaling my feet as if I were on a stair stepper. And your heels don't have to come all the way down here. You can leave your knees quite bent. Release this, inhale, circle sweep all the way up, hands to heart center, and let's rock back and forth a little bit. Sorry I missed you guys last week. I had to work I was called in last minute to work last week, and next week I'm going to be working too, but the week after I'll be offering yoga live. But I always have practices on my Facebook page, so if you can access that, you can practice whenever you like with me. All right, let's settle in, close your eyes, let those shoulders fall down, lift through the crown of the head, and let's just take a few breaths here. Inhale in, exhale out. Inhale in, exhale out. And now bringing the fingertips up, bring the elbows down, pinkies to face one another. We're just gonna stretch up and over with the arms open, getting a nice stretch on the side body here. Back to center, and over to the other side. Back to center, hands to heart center, and then release those palms, nestling them in the breastbone. Inhale, lift. Exhale, bow down, flat back. Inhale, look up. Exhale, release. Inhale, circle sweep all the way up. And now I'm gonna, you can bring your hands to your hips if you need a little bit more support here. I'm gonna have my arms up and I'm just gonna Take a gentle back bend. If you feel a pinch in your spine, don't do this. That's nerves being pinched, and we don't want that. And release your hands behind you, interlace, and I'm just gonna twist a little bit from side to side here. All right, reach up and around, and you can bring your hand, opposite hand to the elbow, or reach around and create a bind here. And I've heard people say to me kind of disparagingly about themselves, I'm an emotional eater. And my response is, I am too. Most of us are. It's not bad that you associate foods with emotions. The problem is, and even use foods to self-soothe. The problem is when you use foods to stuff down emotions. That's when it becomes unhealthy. Okay, release your hands. So if you're eating to avoid feeling, and we all do it sometimes, rather than being disparaging towards yourself, try having compassion. Reach up and around, and I'm going to create this bind here on the other side. I always crave something really sweet or high or savory after I've had a really emotional mental health interview at the hospital. And that's just my body trying to kind of balance out. But I have to be careful to try to choose something that is going to nourish me rather than something that's going to deplete me even more. And sometimes I succeed, sometimes I don't. That's okay. We're not going to be perfect in every choice we make. No one is. All right, release. Let's come down to all fours. We're going to do some cat and cow stretches here. You're welcome to double up your mat if you have any discomfort on the knees. I do fine. There's also some very thick padded mats out there that you can get. So inhale, look up. Exhale, round. And keep flowing here, following your breath. Neutral spine, and I'm just going to kind of shake my tail here. And I'm going to come into puppy dog pose by curling my toes under and walking my hands forward, getting a deeper stretch in the shoulders. This is kind of like child's pose, but your butt is still up in the air. You don't bring it back. I'm going to come up a little ways and then create kind of a prayer stretch here to get in the shoulders a bit deeper. All right, release, and let's walk over to one side of your mat and just stretch out long here. come up and let's walk over to the other side and stretch out long. And I'm gonna bring my hips all the way back and untuck my toes. This may not be comfortable for you, but I'm gonna do a few more stretches here. You can come into crisscross applesauce if this is painful for you. So opening the arms nice and big here. I'm gonna cross one arm over the other and bring my chin to my chest. You're always welcome to adjust if you find that, you know, at first you were okay sitting like this and now you're not. Just adjust. It's not like, you know, I'm gonna go freeze, you're out of the game or anything. All right, open up big and let's switch arms on top. So other arm on top, I think. I'm not sure if I remember which arm I had at first. I'm gonna kind of reach behind me here. You'll have to adjust if you're in crisscross applesauce. But I'm gonna reach behind so that I can stretch out through the hip flexors and hips here. So just lifting those hips up. Walk forward back onto all fours and come into child's pose. So I'm going to bring my knees a little bit wider, feet together, and just press back. Just taking a few breaths here. Walking back again, you can come back into crisscross applesauce or back into this lightning pose. Okay, so I'm gonna reach up and over from here and just stretch out through the side of my body. This is a great stretch to do if you have a desk job at work, while you're at work sitting in your chair. Alright, now I'm going to take this hand back further behind my hips and I'm just going to kind of open up, bringing the knuckles kind of towards the ground, palm is up. And now reach up and over again, and I'm going to come across with both arms, and then I'm going to reach up and over to this side. Let's open up a little deeper. I'm bringing my right hand behind the hip and opening. If you're mirroring me, it'll be your left arm. And I'm opening that left arm up, palm up. I'm just kind of tucking my chin here. That feels good to me. And release. Interlacing the fingers and opening up, I'm rounding here. And I'm going to come up onto my knees, stretching up and over to the other side. All right, now I'm going to bring my left foot forward. And I'm just going to gently come forward here to stretch out through the back of the leg. And I'm pretty flexible, not that flexible for a yoga teacher, but more than the average person. So you can be way up here, it's okay. If you stretch more, you'll be more flexible. If you stretch less, you'll be tighter. And that's not, it's not a moral judgment. It's just how much time you spend stretching and then your specific body. Let's come forward into a kneeling lunge before we get the other side. So gently coming forward, I'm going to curl the back toe under and lift the back knee up, coming into a runner's lunge. And now I'm going to open up to one side. Just peel open. This is one of my favorites. Dragonfly Twist. Now let's release down and we're going to come back, bringing this leg back and take a little breather in child's pose. All right, slowly rolling up. I'm going to interlace the hands and stretch forward, pressing the palms out, and then bringing those palms up and over and stretch. And now release, and you can grab onto the ground if you're a little unsteady. I'm gonna bring the other leg forward and then lean towards that foot. And when you're tight, stretches can be excruciating. But use your breath, see if you can tolerate discomfort but not pain. And eventually it will feel good to stretch once you get a little bit more movement, a little bit less tightness in the body. Like now I love to stretch, but there have been times where it's been pretty intense and uncomfortable for me. Let's come forward, coming into a low lunge, curling the back toe under, and lifting that back leg up, coming into a runner's lunge. And I'm just staying here for a minute to open up the hips. This hip area is where we tend to store a lot of anxiety, so these kind of stretches are really good for relieving stress. Relieving stress is an important way to keep your body in equilibrium and lower inflammation. All right, let's open. So inflammation is associated with heart disease, diabetes, obesity. A lot of our Western ills are highly correlated to a stressful lifestyle. So if we can release that in our body, sometimes we can bring those numbers down without losing any weight, or the weight will start to come off because we're making peace with our bodies. Not always though. You can be very healthy at any size. So let's love our bodies, every inch. All right, release, and I'm gonna hop this back leg, coming up to the top of the mat and back into my forward fold. Inhale, circle sweep all the way up. Exhale, hands to heart center. Inhale, lift. Exhale, bow down. Inhale, look up. Exhale, release. Inhale, sweeping all the way up. Exhale, hands to heart center. Okay, let's come into a pyramid stretch. So I'm gonna step back first with my right foot and have the left leg forward. You can have your legs wide on the mat, or they can be more in line with each other. There's no right or wrong. I like to have mine be kind of squared here, and then just gently coming forward. The same stretch, but standing. And I'm gonna release all the way down. You can stay up higher if it feels better for you. Those arms up and then release them behind, coming into Stargazer. And now from Stargazer, I'm going to come forward again, this time keeping my arms behind me. Let's come into standing splits from here for fun. So releasing your hands down. I'm gonna bring my weight into the left leg, bending the knee, and then fly up that back right leg. But you can also have this back leg down to help kind of catch and support you if this isn't working. Release down, back into the forward fold. Let's come all the way up, hands to heart center, and step back with the other leg, coming into our pyramid stretch. And taking it where you want to take it, you can rest your hand on the thigh or the shin. I'm going to come all the way down. All the way up, bringing those arms up and then release behind you and interlace the hands for Stargazer. And then keeping that chest forward, those hands interlaced, let's come forward. Bringing the arms up and over towards the head. And release the hands, bring the weight into that front foot, bending the knee, and lift the back leg up. Down into that forward fold. That was fun, huh? We'll do that again in a little bit. First, let's inhale all the way up. Bring the hands to heart center. Inhale, come back up. Exhale, swan dive down. Inhale, look up. Exhale, release. Inhale all the way up. Exhale, hands to heart center. Inhale, lift. Exhale, bow down. Inhale, look up. And now we're gonna do a different flow. We'll come back to that first one. Exhale, release. Inhale all the way up. And I'm going to start with the right foot forward and bring the back foot to the back, coming into a crescent lunge. You can drop the back knee if you want a little more support. So I'm going to come from lightning pose and then twist to the side for a prayer twist. This is a great way to activate the buns and the thighs. Oops, sorry. Kind of lost my balance there. That happens a lot for me. Okay, so from here, shoulders down, we're gonna lean forward and sweep those arms to the side. Palms are up here. I'm just checking myself in the mirror and realizing I could bring my shoulders back and down a bit more. All right, let's come up and we're gonna bring the hands to heart center. And now let's take a prayer twist over to the side. And you can open your arms like wings here if that feels good. That doesn't really feel that good to me. And coming back up, lowering into that crescent lunge. Let's lower the hands down, step back, rock forward to plank, lower, untuck the toes, inhale, lift up, and make your way up and back to downward facing dog, and we're gonna walk out this first dog. Usually by now in the practice I've come to down dog before, but not in this one. And I'm gonna do a few kind of like dog squats here. I'm gonna bend my knees and lift here. Bend down lower, and then as I lift, I'm coming onto my tippy toes here. So lower the knees, lift up, engage. Lower almost to the mat, lift up, engage. Lower, lift, lower, and lift. Let's tippy toe up to the top of the mat here. And we're gonna get the other side now. So inhale, sweep up, and we're gonna come into a crescent lunge. I'm gonna adjust my shirt here. On the other side. This is a great, powerful pose that will help you develop strength and balance. All right, let's lean forward for our lightning warrior, extending those fingertips back and splay the hands out. Bring the shoulder blades back and down. All right, now coming back up to that crescent lunge, bringing the shoulders down. Let's bring the hands to heart center, and we are going to twist over to the left this time. All right, coming back up. And let's take our flow. Release here, step back. Inhale, rock forward, lower, lift, and coming up and back down to down dog again. Let's walk that dog out, and then we'll do a few squats, and then we'll come back to our pyramid to stargazer flow. Now let's do a few of these kind of down dog squats. So lower the knees almost to the mat, and then lift up, engage. Lower, lift, bend, stretch, keep going. And then last one, bend your knees. Let's look forward, and then let's walk it on up. Inhale all the way up, Exhale, hands to heart center. Let's get the right side first. So I'm gonna step back and make my way forward and down. Coming back up, I'm going to circle the arms up and reach behind and open up for Stargazer. And this time I'm going to actually transition to Warrior 3, but with a variation with my arms interlaced. You can come back to the pyramid stretch if you prefer. I'm going to challenge my balance a little bit here. And then I'm going to see how far down I can go into standing splits. And release. Be careful you don't conk your head doing that. If you don't feel steady, don't take it so far. You can bring the hands down. All right, let's get the other side. So hands to heart center first, and we're gonna lean forward. Up, release those hands behind you, interlace, and I'm going to come into my Warrior 3 with my hands interlaced. And now I'm going to continue to play with balance here. Oops, and I'll probably fall over doing it, but I'm going to you can have your hands here to catch you if you fall, if you prefer, but I'm gonna just try coming into standing splits without my arms to support me, which is harder on this side for me. Oops, and I fell over. That's okay. All right. Inhale, circle, sweep up. Exhale, hand to heart center. All right, now I'm gonna challenge my balance in airplane again, only this time I'm gonna use one of these balance boards. You don't need this, you could stand on a cushion or just stand on the floor. I just wanna play with balance a little bit here. So I'm gonna come up onto the balance board, and I'm using it the soft side up. You can also do the opposite. And I'm going to practice my airplane on this. Whoa! And as you can see, I'm quite unsteady. Woo! Let's try the other side, shall we? I'm going to have to practice this more. It's kind of fun, actually. All right, so I'm a little more steady on this side, but still challenging. Woo! Okay, that was fun. Okay, now I'm going to use the balance board for one more thing. I'm going to just do a little bit of a triceps exercise on this. And then we will do some stretches and come into Shavasana. All right, so I'm gonna have my fingertips towards the front of this, and you can just do this on your mat if you prefer. I'm just trying to create a little bit more height and instability. And I'm bringing my feet up behind me, and I'm going to kind of interlace them and then pull my belly in here. I'm just gonna lower and lift, do these like push-ups to kind of target the back of the triceps. going to 20. And now from here, I'm going to come back and just stretch out, coming into child's pose. All right, I'm going to move this balance board aside. Let's come into some stretching. But first, let's give ourselves a little bit of kindness. Let's do a little bit of a foot massage. I'm starting with the right foot. You can start with the left. Just rubbing those toes, rubbing the mound of the foot. If we find ourselves engaging in unhealthy or addictive behaviors with regards to food or drugs or sex or anything, or television or social media, the way to get ourselves back in balance is not to berate ourselves or be unkind or call ourselves names, but to do a little bit more self-care, because usually that's what's lacking. One thing that frustrates me in mental health is that most people brush their teeth every day and they don't consider it like this exotic thing to do for wimpy-toothed people. It's just a part of their regular hygiene. And then they don't, not only do they brush their teeth, but hopefully most people go to the dentist and get their teeth examined and keep them in good condition, okay? We need to do the same thing with our emotions and our mental hygiene. Waiting until we have a crisis to do self-care is kind of like not brushing your teeth and then just only going to the dentist when you need a tooth pulled, okay? It sounds ridiculous, but that's the way most of us take care of our mental health. You don't have to wait until you're in a crisis. In fact, I don't recommend it, to start taking good care of your mental hygiene, okay? Yoga is a great way to do that, to turn inward and just see what's going on. Okay, now I'm going to take this leg and you can crook the knee in that arm and hold on to the foot, and we're just going to kind of rock this leg like a baby. I'm going to bring this leg even closer into the opposite crook of the arm. That's okay if you want to just keep do this stretch a little bit less, with less intensity. All right, let's release on this side, and we're going to give this other foot some love. So what are some things that you can do to show compassion towards yourself? Yoga, exercise, meditation, sometimes a cookie or a piece of cake. But being mindful and enjoying it rather than shaming ourselves. Maybe take some time to do an adult coloring page, or there's lots of ways. Say a prayer. But whatever it is, the more you take time out for self-care, the more you're kind of inoculating yourself against those big mood swings that make it hard to function. And I say this not as a person who has always had a smooth ride emotionally. I've actually been clinically depressed and had obsessive compulsive issues. So I'm not saying this like, you know, just look on the bright side. I know it's hard. For me, mental health self-care is not a luxury, it's a matter of survival. But for a lot of people it is. All right, I'm gonna move up the leg a little bit here. And now I'm gonna bring this leg into the crook of the arm, and the other hand can hold onto the foot, or you can come a little deeper here and just rock that baby. Let's release. I'm going to bring my legs in front of me, and we're just going to do a little bit of a windshield wiper with those legs, giving the buns a little bit of a massage. And then let's come into Shavasana. Lay down, palms up, and just breathe here for a little bit. Wiggle your fingers and toes a little bit here. Walk those feet up to the rear, and we're just going to roll over to one side of the mat. And now let's come into a seated position. Bring the hands to heart center and the thumbs to forehead center. Namaste. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you have a wonderful day and that you show compassion and kindness towards yourself and others. See you in a couple weeks.